folks, and he's not returning just for any game. He's facing Cam in Carolina. Will Cain still with us now. Will, if the Packers lose, should they just shut down Rodgers?
Okay, all right. Yes, they should. If they lose to the Panthers, they should sit down Rodgers. Stephen A., Max, I want you to listen carefully because I'm about to do something that I never do. And that is I'm going to be irrational.
You're going to be right?
I'm going to be irrational, Max, and here's where you're going to realize my genius. You're going to see my genius because even when I'm irrational,
that is something you do.
I'm correct. I am correct. Usually I'm correct because I'm logical. Right now I'm going to be irrational and still be correct, so take a lesson. Here's the deal. I understand that collarbones aren't exactly like chronic injuries, that you don't break it once and go, oh my gosh, that means it's going to be susceptible to more injuries immediately after. I understand that professional athletes do not come back until they are ready, and then when they are ready, they are ready. I also understand that, anything can happen in pro sports, so if you lose the game, you go to 7-7, might as well play out the stretch and see what happens, see if you can make the playoffs. But here's the deal, man. Knowing all that, I know what happened in 2015 with the Dallas Cowboys. Now, you can tell me I got burned. You can tell me all these other things, but I know this, that when the odds are long and the risks are high, go ahead and play it safe. Tony Romo came back from a collarbone injury because he wanted to help his team make the playoffs, and what did he do about a game later? Re-broke the collarbone. Sat out for almost that entire season between the two. What happens is you're now playing like Vegas. You're now playing the longest odds at the table. That you're going to go from 7-7 to 9-7 and match the Saints, beat them on all because they already have 9 wins, and get in on tiebreakers, and you're going to somehow make the playoffs, or just play because you got your quarterback back with no big upside. While your downside is hurting the guy we all agree on is an amazing quarterback. We may disagree on the degree, but one of the most amazing quarterbacks in NFL history and jeopardizing his long-term future. You don't do that for small odds. Big risk, small gain, don't play it. Sit him if you lose.
Go ahead, Max.
No, go ahead, Stephen A., because I got something to say. At the end. After you, please.
Listen, but the bottom line is that I as much as I hate to admit it, I have to agree with Will Cain, because if you lose this game, you're out of the playoff picture. You're done. You can't make the playoffs. Even winning all 3, running the table for the rest of the regular season doesn't ensure that the Packers are going to get in, because they need such help. You got Carolina ahead of them, Seattle ahead of them, Atlanta ahead of them, et cetera, et cetera. So there's so many teams that are ahead of them that you have to look at it from the standpoint, what's the sense in jeopardizing the future of Aaron Rodgers by putting him out there, the bad man that he is, the great one that he is? Why jeopardize your own future by having him play in utterly meaningless games? It makes no sense. You can use the last 2 games, assuming they lose this Sunday to Carolina. You can use the last 2 games to really get Hundley even more reps, get him more acclimated to things. He won his last 2 starts before Aaron Rodgers came back this upcoming weekend. And so when you look at it from that standpoint, you're developing a backup while still in all, developing other guys, and you're saving Aaron Rodgers for when it counts, which unfortunately would happen to be next season. I don't take the risk just to leave him in the game for the last 2 regular seasons. He's the great one. I'm not jeopardizing anything with him unless if it's for something that's meaningful.
We all happen to agree on this, but of course, as usual, I am right for the right reasons, and you guys just happen to land luckily at the right answer. This is the reason that Aaron Rodgers shouldn't play if they lose. This is the reason. Not Will because he's hurt and could re-injure himself or anything like that. It's simply because I've seen a lot of great players. I'm 44 years old. I've been watching the NFL since, 8 years old, right? I've seen a lot of great players. I saw Lawrence Taylor at his best, Deion Sanders at his best, Dan Marino, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. Aaron Rodgers has more impact on the game than any player who ever lived, at least any that I have ever seen. And the Green Bay Packers, because of him and because of not entirely inept management, are a live threat to win the Super Bowl in any given season. And because of that, if they are out of it, they should sit Aaron Rodgers, because football is a game you only play if you have to. It's not simply that, well, even if his collarbone was fine, you might consider sitting him down. Because why would you expose your quarterback to risk when you're not going to make the playoffs? A quarterback who we say, well, why do that with any player? Just stop playing the games if you're out of the playoffs. Well, then sometimes that happens. Whether you're in, if you're in and it's not going to affect the standings, sometimes they rest the starters, your important players. Or if you're completely out of it, it's not going to affect something. Sometimes the same thing happens. And in Aaron Rodgers' case, that's how he should be treated because he has such an impact on the game. He gives you a chance every year. And if you're out of it, there's no reason for him to play football.
Well, first of all, Max Kellerman, you should be ashamed of yourself. Don't be coming on national TV lying to the public. We don't do that on this show. When you were 8 years old, you know, when you were 8 years old, you know good and damn well you weren't watching anything. You were probably reading Socrates or the version of Nate Silver at that particular moment in time. You weren't watching any damn games. Stop lying. You know you were reading. You were trying to reading and memorizing thesauruses and encyclopedias with your lying self. Stop it. You weren't watching any games. You were reading.
But with the other eye, I had an eye on the game.
Okay. All right. You know what? With those eyes of yours, that is plausible. You could read with one eye and watch a game with the other. I apologize. Beetlejuice. My bad.
Oh, man. First of all, Stephen A.,
vision is really good. Sorry, what?
Not to get Max's back, but Stephen A., you know, we know, the audience knows, you're the thesaurus reader. If there's a thesaurus reader among us, you are the thesaurus reader. Admit
Have you listened to him speak? Have you listened to him speak, Will Kane? Are you kidding me? I got nothing on that. It's nothing.
You know, he does something different. He does these like word salads where he runs around an argument and you never know where the sentence is going to lead. But you over here pulling words, thesaurus left and right.
Word salad? Word salad? Please.
Well, Max, I'm glad I got you to admit to one thing. I may be like a mule with a long memory, but I'm glad I got you to admit that collarbones aren't chronic injuries, that you can finally admit that just because you broke it once doesn't mean you're going to break it twice.
No, I said you're claiming that. I said you're claiming that.
Oh,
you're also trying to treat Tony Romo as though he's Aaron Rodgers. You can't learn any lessons about Aaron Rodgers looking at Tony Romo, Will. That's absurd.
Aaron Rodgers' Superman abilities that you speak of so often, they're also his collarbone. He's like Wolverine. He's got special collarbones that Tony Romo doesn't have. He like regrows really quickly.
Adamantium, Will. That's right.
All right, guys.
Something's got to explain Aaron Rodgers. He's from Krypton or something.
Will you let Molly go to break, please?
Enough of the thesaurus, Urban Dictionary, whatever you all lose.